I have with me David Pakman. He is a progressive host and executive producer of the nationally syndicated radio and TV program, The David Pakman Show. And I wanted to talk to David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male.
Can you remind the audience, when you talk about being a beta male and being an alpha male, what are we talking about here?
There are males, most men today.
Yeah.
Male, they think and act like a woman. They're emotional. They are mentally off. They have no logic. And that's a beta male. They go along with homosexuality.
Hold on, whoa, Jesse, we got it. That's a lot.
LGBTQ.
That's a lot.
They
Hold on.
agree with everything that's wrong. Abortion, they think and act just like a woman. A beta male does. But a non-beta male doesn't, because he's a logical thinking. And they're controlled by the darkness of David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. David Pakman. He is a beta male. The beta male. David, you're not here to communicate. I really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to let you go. It's a waste of time to talk to you. We're not communicating. You're acting like an idiot.
No, because you're asking bizarre questions.
You're
and not
acting like an
any.
idiot, and you're wasting my time. I appreciate you coming. All right, thank you for coming. Goodbye. Goodbye. Let him know. That's a progressive vote. All men who are progressive, or males who are progressive, are weak people. They are weak people, and why have these people on? It doesn't even make sense.
All right, very good. We are standing by here. Whoa, what are we looking at? That's bizarre. Oh, the super chat.
Let's go to the phones at 617-830-40.
Where is that coming from?
Let's see. Let's first go to... you know who's on the phone? Donald Trump is holding on. And last time...
Here it is. Oh, my God. It went on to the next Joe Woodward song. That was wild. Okay, I'm starting a half hour early because Joe Biden's speech has been moved up by a half hour. Scheduled now for the bottom of the hour. So I was going to make my okra soup first and then do the stream. But I'm doing the opposite. We're going to do the stream first, then I'll be making my my okra soup. My hair is back under control and everything is going very well. If you're just joining us and you haven't been paying attention as to what's happening today, like for example, Starred Prower on Twitch has no clue what's going on, is in the chat, talking, chatting, no clue what's going on. Today, the Electoral College, the electors of the 50 states, cast their ballots officially. This is not anymore that we can no longer say, not that I was saying it anyway, but we can no longer say that Trump has lost only by according to the media. Trump has now lost because the electors have voted. This was the moment where it went over 270 when California cast 55 electoral votes for Joseph R. Biden Jr.
I will now announce the tally of the vote for the office of President of the United States. For Joseph R. Biden of Delaware, a Democrat, ayes 55, noes 0.
Wow. Okay. And so with that moment, now Joe Biden is officially the president-elect. And we are standing by. We are monitoring PBS. We are monitoring Fox News. We are monitoring NBC News. And we are monitoring CBS because within minutes, President-elect Joe Biden will be making a statement. Now, in the meantime, Donald Trump's completely deranged, depraved, delusional, and dangerous dilettante, William Barr, how's that for alliteration, has resigned. And everybody is sort of pretending that this is no big deal. And maybe it is no big deal. Donald Trump tweeting, just had a very nice meeting with Attorney General Bill Barr at the White House. Our relationship has been a very good one. He's done an outstanding job. As per the letter, Bill will be leaving just before Christmas to spend the holidays with his family. And in this deranged letter, Bill Barr thanks Trump for letting him review voter fraud allegations. He's like, thank you, Mr. President, for giving me this voter fraud horse shit to go after. And then on page 2, in one line, he says, as discussed, I will spend the next week wrapping up and I will depart on December 23rd. Merry Christmas to you and the family. So, maybe it's nothing. The speculation is that Trump was really putting pressure on Barr to do something completely ridiculous. And Barr didn't want to do it and maybe even convinced Trump hey, listen, I'm not really the right guy for this. This will be more credible if I leave and you put in somebody else. I have no idea. But, the speculation would be that Barr is clearing out December 23rd to pave the way for some kind of nuttier than who knows what, for some very, very nutty stuff between December 24th and January 20th. I have no idea. We have no reason right now, one way or the other. And for people saying it makes sense for him to leave because Biden wouldn't have kept him anyway. Biden's not keeping any of Trump's cabinet members. That's always the case when a president leaves and a new one comes in. But that's a very different situation than, leaving at this exact time, particularly when Trump has been pressuring William Barr and the Justice Department and the Supreme Court to get involved, so to speak, in the so-called voter fraud claim. So who the hell knows what to expect? I don't know. I do want to say thanks to the 9 additional Twitch subscribers who have just come in. We had an earlier stream, the official Electoral College stream, and we're just continuing on, targeting 306 website members and Twitch subs. Now, I've already committed to opening the phone lines. The initial goal earlier was 100. You know I'm a man of my word. I said if we get to 100 website members and Twitch subs, we will carry the number over. I will open up the phones during stream number 2, and I'm committed to doing that. But now, just in a celebratory sort of framework, we are looking for 306 because that's the number of electoral votes that Joe Biden has. And along those lines, one other thank you, Lucas Bowler, who is a new member at joinpacman.com and number 113 today. Okay, I promised more. I had 8 voicemails to play for you guys to debut in the earlier stream, and I held back 2 of them. Why did I do that? So that I could dangle them over your head now. I have 2 more Troy York voicemails. I've not even listened to them. They are completely unhinged, I am sure, but I have not listened to them. We are now starting to see streams go live, and we'll soon be hearing from officially the president-elect. But let me first read a couple of super chats. Satu Gustafson says, is it a bad sign that Barr is out? Do you think it points to them trying further shenanigans? Okay, so you may have sent this before I addressed that, but I don't think it tells us very much one way or the other. I think we just don't know. And a whole bunch of new YouTube members, which is beautiful. Okay, 2 new voicemails. These earlier, I had 6 voicemails from someone we are calling Re-Peter, Re-Peter, because he left me 6 voicemails all saying the same thing. Now we are going to Troy York. Troy York had some grievance, and he called in. Let's listen to what he had to say. Here we go.
Yeah, I hope President Biden actually does do the mask mandate, federal mandate, because then maybe once people see this government tyranny telling you what to wear, and before
tyranny, government tyranny,
for too long, it may be our guns, mandate that we turn in our guns.
No, so that there's no, that makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. Guns, of course, are outlined in the Second Amendment. Very different situation.
I think that eventually the American people will be like Europeans and actually take to the streets violently and heavily to resist these mandates, which they haven't done yet. They're absolutely ridiculous. A little cloth underwear is not going to protect you any more than it protects you from smelling a guy next to you who passed gas.
You know, that's interesting because the cloth does, to some degree, limit the strength of the flatulence smell. And as this gentleman is pointing out, it's not perfect, but it does help. And if both people wear masks, you know, I mean, listen, if somebody passes gas wearing no underwear versus wearing underwear and jeans, in which scenario do you think you're going to smell it more? I mean, it's a very stupid claim. I'm kind of sick of it, so let's just move on to the second voicemail that Troy York left just moments later.
Why do you keep saying that there's no merit to Trump's fraud?
Well, courts are saying that. Again, this is where people don't understand the difference between me asserting an opinion and reporting. The opinion of courts is there's no merit to what Trump has been pushing.
Because it has been dismissed in court. It's Greg Hunter of USA Watchdog.
No idea who that is. Again, this guy, every time he calls in, he's like, why don't you interview like PJ Cersei or the Blot twins? Or I don't even know, you know, just these weird people I've never heard of. And it's like, what? I have no clue who they are. What do you mean? Why don't I interview them?
YouTube channel points out all these judges that you're talking about that dismiss these cases are Obama appointed judges.
That's untrue. Many Trump appointed judges have been dismissing cases.
You dipshit.
Oh, okay. Let's end it. All right. So that's that. So there's another Troy York voicemail. And, oh, I have two new Jimmy from Philly voicemails that came in at 6:10 and 6:17 p.m. Saturday. I haven't pre-screened them. Do you guys want to hear those? I would be willing to maybe play some Jimmy from Philly ones. Thanks to Wendy Cox for signing up at joinpacman.com, new member 114. Also, big thanks to the additional 7 Twitch subs, which puts us at 121 today. People like Maddie B and Pepsi Lover, GPF. You got to stay off the Pepsi. That stuff is poison. GPF, Dr. Gecko, Hydroponic, Mike Kriggs, and lots of other really great people are signing up there. Do we want the Jimmy from Philly voicemails real quick before we move on? Steven comments and says the voicemails reinforce why we need to invest in education and mental health care. I mean this earnestly. Very sad. Lucky to live in Massachusetts. My feelings exactly, Steven. Absolutely. All right, let's listen to the first Jimmy from Philly voicemail.
David, Jimmy from Philly, I'm pissed the fuck off at you. I just watched your interview with Jesse a couple months ago. Yeah, it's real easy to pick on crazy-ass Jesse, isn't it? As someone who disagrees with you. Yeah, why don't you pick on a small fry?
Oh, is he now going to list people also I've never heard of that I've committed some grave injustice by not interviewing? It's amazing when people call in with a list of 20 people I've not interviewed that I've never heard of, and that's an indictment of my character in some way.
Like the hard bastard.
The hot bastard? Like, who are these? I don't know. JP Cersei, and someone said it's the Hodge twins. Who did he want me to interview in the last one? PJ Salt? And the hot bastard? I don't know who that is.
Why don't you give him a break? I mean, you know, you're the elite now. You're over 1 million subscribers.
Hey, we're actually, by the way, perfect segue. My goal was 1 million subscribers by New Year's Day. We could be at 1.2 million by New Year's Day on YouTube. Can you imagine? 1.2 million. We're only 18,000 away, actually. Okay, let's continue, though.
Why don't you butt heads with a small fry on issues?
Did he say a small fry-later?
Or hell, even do it with me.
Jimmy's been on this. Jimmy's called into this show 20 times. What does he mean? What is he talking about?
Making Jesse Lee Peterson look like an ass makes you look like an ass, David.
It's funny because Jesse Lee is the one who wanted to be on.
Really does. I mean, how fucking hard was that for you? You just make me sick, David. Next time you bring on somebody on the show with opposing views, bring somebody on there that can fucking battle you. You're just a big pussy. David, okay. Jimmy from Philly.
So that's the first one. And then Jimmy immediately called back 5.5 minutes later and left this screed.
David, Jimmy from Philly. You are the biggest pussy in the world. I'm still pissed off over this Jesse Lee Peterson thing. I mean, yeah, David, you eviscerated him. Congratulations, David. You made Jesse Lee Peterson into a fool. It's not that hard, David. It's not that fucking hard. Really, is it? Is that what you've been reduced to? Are these the only kind of guests that you'll bring?
It's funny. His producers have been trying to get him on my show for over a year. Like, yeah, I'm going out. Jesse, please, I really need you on my show.
You won't bring anybody that might challenge you? That might be a erudite?
Erudite? Oh, erudite. Oh, my God. I was like, a rude what?
Why don't you try the hard bastard?
Oh, my God. Again with this hot... Is this someone that's like a friend of Jimmy's? Or I don't know. Who, like, it sounds like the guy who Jimmy gets his lawn signs from.
Because I've been listening to him for years, and he's got your number, David. He's got your motherfucking number. And not only that, but we mock the shit out of you. You've seen the videos I said.
You know, it's love. It seems like it is trickling down. It seems that based on my audience growth, there's like a cottage industry of people who, I mean, I hope they're at least making money. I hope it's not charity, of people who I guess make money criticizing me. I don't know. It's like, cool. I get voicemails like this actually often. We're like, are you going to respond to such and such? It's like, no, because they're crushing you. I hope it's generating a beautiful living for them.
We mock the shit out of you, David, because you're full of shit.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Let's see if Biden's
and
about to start here.
Contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Okay, we'll listen to the rest of it as we stand by for Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Most of your people don't have the time in the day to research what you say. You know, I don't have the fucking time in the day, David. I work a regular job like most Americans. People tune in to jerk-offs like you for news, and you know that. So you just baffle them with bullshit, right? I'll tell you what, David. How about this? I'm sure when you were...
Oh, and it looks like we're hearing from Joe Biden. Here we go.
D.C. met to officially elect Biden.
Oh, no, maybe not.
And here he is speaking from Wilmington, Delaware.
Oh, he is. Okay, here we go.
An act just as old as our nation itself. And once again, in America, the rule of law, our Constitution, and the will of the people prevailed. Our democracy pushed, tested, threatened,
weird
proved
side
to be
angle.
resilient, true, and strong. The Electoral College votes, which occurred today, reflect the fact that even in the face of a public health crisis unlike anything we've experienced in our lifetimes.
All right, let's go to the head on. It's just kind of weird.
We've experienced in our lifetimes. The people voted. They voted in record numbers. More Americans voted this year than have ever voted in the history of the United States of America. Over 155 million Americans were determined to have their voices heard and their votes counted.
Frog in the throat.
At the start of this pandemic, this crisis, many were wondering how many Americans would actually vote at all. But those fears proved to be unfounded. We saw something very few predicted, even thought possible. The biggest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. A number so big that this election now ranks as the clearest demonstration of the true will of the American people. One of the most amazing demonstrations of civic duty we've ever seen in our country. It should be celebrated, not attacked. More than 81 million of those votes were cast for me and Vice President-elect Harris. That too is a record. More than any ticket has received in the history of America. It represents a winning margin of more than 7 million votes over the number of votes cast for my opponent. Together, the Vice President-elect Harris and I
needs a sip of water.
Earned 306 electoral votes, well exceeding the 270 electoral votes needed to secure victory. 306 electoral votes is the same number of electoral votes that Donald Trump and Vice President Pence received when they won in 2016. Excuse me. At the time, President Trump called the Electoral College tally a landslide.
That's true.
By his own standards, these numbers represented a clear victory then, and I respectfully suggest they do so now. If anyone didn't know before, they know now. What beats deep in the hearts of the American people is this: democracy. The right to be heard, to have your vote counted, to choose leaders of this nation, to govern ourselves. In America, politicians don't take power. People grant power to them. The flame of democracy was lit in this nation a long time ago. And we now know nothing, not even a pandemic or an abuse of power, can extinguish that flame.
Abuse of power is key.
And as the people kept it aflame, so too did courageous state and local officials and election workers. American democracy works because America makes it work at a local level. One of the extraordinary things we saw this year was that everyday Americans, our friends and our neighbors, often volunteers, Democrats, Republicans, independents, demonstrating absolute courage. They showed a deep and unwavering faith in and a commitment to the law. They did their duty in the face of a pandemic. And then they could not and would not give credence to what they knew was not true. They knew this election was overseen by them, it was honest, it was free, and it was fair. They saw it with their own eyes, and they wouldn't be bullied into saying anything different. It was truly remarkable, because so many of these patriotic Americans are subject to so much, enormous political pressure, verbal abuse, and even threats of physical violence. While we all wish that our fellow Americans in these positions will always show such courage and commitment to free and fair elections, it is my sincere hope we never again see anyone subjected to the kind of threats and abuse we saw in this election. It's simply unconscionable.
Trump's going to be triggered.
We owe these public servants a debt of gratitude. They didn't seek the spotlight. You know, and our democracy survived because of them, which is proof, once more, that it's everyday Americans infused with honor, character, and decency that is the heart of this nation. You know, in this election, their integrity was matched by their strength, independence, and the integrity of our judicial system. In America, when questions are raised about the legitimacy of any election, those questions are resolved through the legal processes. And that's precisely what happened here. The Trump campaign brought dozens and dozens and dozens of legal challenges to test the result. They were heard again and again. And each of the times they were heard, they were found to be without merit. Time and again, President Trump's lawyers presented arguments to state officials, state legislatures, state and federal courts, and ultimately to the United States Supreme Court twice. They were heard by more than 80 judges across this country, and in every case, no cause or evidence was found to reverse or question or dispute the results. A few states went for recounts. All the counts were confirmed. The results in Georgia were counted 3 times. Didn't change the outcome. The recount conducted in Wisconsin actually saw our margin grow. The margin we had in Michigan was 14 times the margin President Trump won that state by 4 years ago. Our margin in Pennsylvania was nearly twice the size of the Trump margin 4 years ago. And yet, none of this has stopped baseless claims about the legitimacy of the results. Even more stunning, 17 Republican attorneys general and 126 Republican members of the Congress actually signed on to a lawsuit filed by the state of Texas. That lawsuit asked the United States Supreme Court to reject the certified vote counts in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This legal maneuver was an effort by elected officials and one group of states to try to get the Supreme Court to wipe out the votes of more than 20 million Americans in other states.
Sure, why not?
And to hand the presidency to a candidate who lost the Electoral College, lost the popular vote, and lost each and every one of the states whose votes they were trying to reverse. It's a position so extreme, we've never seen it before. A position that refused to respect the will of the people, refused to respect the rule of law, and refused to honor our Constitution. Thankfully, a unanimous Supreme Court immediately and completely rejected this effort. The court sent a clear signal to President Trump that there would be no part of an unprecedented assault on our democracy. Every single avenue was made available to President Trump to contest the results. He took full advantage of each and every one of those avenues. President Trump was denied no course of action he wanted to take. He took his case to Republican governors and Republican Secretary of State, as he criticized many of them, to Republican state legislatures, to Republican-appointed judges at every level. And in a case decided after the Supreme Court's latest rejection, a judge appointed by President Trump wrote, quote, "This court has allowed the plaintiff the chance to make his case, and he has lost on the merits," end of quote. Lost on the merits. Even President Trump's own cybersecurity chief, overseeing our elections, said it was the most secure election in American history, and summarily was let go. Let me say it again. His own cybersecurity chief, overseeing this election, said it was the most secure in American history. You know, respecting the will of the people is at the heart of our democracy, even when we find those results hard to accept. But that's the obligation of those who've taken on a sworn duty to uphold the Constitution. 4 years ago, when I was a sitting vice president of the United States, it was my responsibility to announce the tally of the Electoral College votes in the joint session of Congress that voted to elect Donald Trump. I did my job. And I'm pleased, but not surprised, by the number of my former Republican colleagues in the Senate who have acknowledged already the results of the Electoral College. I thank them, and I'm convinced we can work together for the good of the nation on many subjects. That's the duty owed to the people, to our Constitution, to our history. You know, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed.
The cough
We, the
isn't
people,
good.
voted. Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history.
Needs a sip of water.
To heal. As I said in this campaign, I will be president for all Americans. I'll work just as hard for those of you who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did. There's urgent work in front of us. Getting this pandemic under control and getting the nation vaccinated against this virus. Delivering immediate economic help so badly needed by so many Americans who are hurting today. And then building our economy back better than it ever was. In doing so, we need to work together to give each other a chance to lower the temperature. And most of all, we need to stand in solidarity as fellow Americans, to see each other, our pains, our struggles, our hopes, and our dreams. We're a great nation. We're good people. We may come from different places, hold different beliefs, but we share in common a love for this country, a belief in its limitless possibilities. For we, the United States of America, has always set the example for the world for a peaceful transition of power. We'll do so again. I know the task before us won't be easy. It's tempered by the pain so many of us are feeling. Today, our nation passed a grim milestone.
Horrifying.
300,000 deaths due to this COVID virus. My heart goes out to each of you in this dark winter of the pandemic. About to spend the holidays and the new year with a black hole in your hearts, without the ones you loved at your side. My heart goes out to all of you who have fallen in hard times through no fault of your own, unable to sleep at night, staring at the ceiling, and weighed down by the worry of what tomorrow will bring for you, and equally important for your family. But we've faced difficult times before in our history. I know we'll get through this one, but together. That's how we get through it, together. So as we start the hard work to be done, may this moment give us the strength to rebuild this house of ours upon a rock that can never be washed away. As in the prayer of St. Francis, for where there is discord, union, where there is doubt, faith, where there is darkness, light. This is who we are as a nation. This is the America we love. And that is the America we're going to be. So thank you all. May God bless you. And may God protect our troops and all those who stand watch over our democracy. Thank you.
So there is a President-elect Joseph R. Biden Jr. speaking for the first time after the official Electoral College vote. Seems to relate to his wife in a normal way, something we really have not seen for a very, very long time in the White House, 4 years. And that is that's something I can get used to be perfectly frank. Let's see if Donald Trump has been triggered into tweeting yet. No, the most recent tweet about his meeting with Bill Barr, at which Bill Barr resigned. And everything kind of falling off the walls here for Joe Biden. And shockingly, he didn't insult anybody during the event, which I know is a really different situation. Okay, I promised a few phone calls, so let's do it at davidpakman.com/Discord. Get into the waiting lobby. In the meantime, I've just been notified. I've not even pre-screened this. I just received a new fresh track from Jethro Bradley, already based on the earlier voicemails from the caller we know of as the Repeater. Check this out. Let's listen to this together. This is my first listen to this, okay? Let's take a listen to The Repeater by Jethro Bradley. I have no name for this caller. We could workshop a name together. Okay, here we go. So this started almost at the stroke of midnight last night. All right, let's take a listen to the first one. This is a new caller. We've never had this one before. New caller alert.
Is this David Pacman? I just want to inform you that you are an idiot. Once again, I'm going to say it again. We now have evidence that one of the voting machines in one of the counties in Georgia did flip the vote. You keep saying that there's no evidence of fraud. You act like a little girl. You pull up things and then you gossip about it like a little girl. Once again, we have evidence.
I feel like it's just repeating a second time. Okay, so there is The Repeater by Jethro Bradley. Very, very strong track. And just as a reminder, Jethro's previous release is Rude Boy, where he musicalized The Wind Passed by Rudy Giuliani.
They didn't bother to interview a single witness. Just like you, they don't want to know the truth. Well, you probably know the truth.
Okay, so there's Rudy passing gas. But the content of this was also disgusting. This went on for hours.
Witness.
There's Rudy passing. Okay, so anyway, that's all happening. All right, let's get to some phone calls. We've heard from Joe Biden. davidpakman.com/Discord. Get in the waiting lobby. Set your nickname to location:name. Location:name. And the best callers typically get right into the subject of their call. Let's go to Nava from Iran/Michigan. Nava, you're on the air.
Hi, David.
Hello.
Thank you for taking my call.
One of my best friend's mom's names is Nava.
Oh, are they Persian?
They are actually Israeli.
Yeah, that's a common name over there too.
Yep.
So I wanted to tell a short story, if you don't mind.
Please, as long as it's not too long, because we have so many people waiting.
Okay, I tried to tell it briefly.
Beautiful.
So I moved to these states 5 years ago to do my residency. So I'm actually a physician.
Wow.
And Yeah. And I was dating this white guy who I met in Michigan for a while. And when we were dealing with the COVID crisis, like in April,
Yeah.
I was exhausted with the amount of work. Like we would work 40 hours in 2 days, and then again, it was devastating.
And just Nava,
And
just
then-
so I understand, is the white guy you were dating also a physician?
No, he was some sort of IT engineer
Okay,
who worked for the U.S. government.
got it.
And when I started complaining that we're dealing with this thing very badly, he just didn't take it well. And he started getting into political arguments with me.
Oh,
And at some
interesting.
point, when our death rate went sky high and I was literally dying because of the fresh pressure of the work,
Yeah.
and I told him that I think other leaders are dealing with that way better than us, he told me, oh, if you like other leaders better, why don't you move there? Why did you move here? And well,
Now, correct. Now, just out of curiosity, Dr. Nava, it sounds like when you moved here, we had different leaders. Maybe you liked the leaders at the time better, right?
yes, absolutely. So I moved here in 2015, and I never felt like it's a divided country. I felt like everyone was friendly to me. But since Trump took the office, I feel like more and more people got encouraged to show me racist behavior,
Right.
including my boyfriend, who claims that he loves me. He just like straight out came out and told me that, oh, if you like other countries more, you don't get to move here. And
Well, you know what? That's not a rule. If you could move here, maybe you like Switzerland more, but you're still that doesn't preclude you from moving here. So I think he's just wrong on the facts.
yeah. So, well, what I'm getting to is that
Yeah.
I felt like for the past 4 years, this leadership has encouraged more and more people to show the racist behavior that was kind of hidden.
Right.
But now they have more courage to actually just show it. And
I
it's
think
kinda-
you are exactly right. I've said for a while, I don't think Trump created more racism. Not directly anyway. I think he just made the people more comfortable being public about their beliefs.
Yes, exactly.
Now, are you still dating this gentleman?
No, of course not.
You're not, okay.
No, there's no way that I mean, I knew he was a conservative, but I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'm just gonna see how he thinks. And he told me initially that he's not a Trump supporter, but getting closer to the election, he was just this mad person who posts on Facebook like these crazy conspiracy theories, and
Yeah.
he literally turned into a madman that I no longer knew.
Did he ever say anything about Iranians that you found like, wait a second, what are you talking about?
Yes.
Oh, he did?
Yes, absolutely. So in the last fights that we got into, he called Iran a shithole.
What now? I'm trying to think. Did anybody prominent propose that word shithole about countries? I'm trying to think where he might have gotten that.
That's a surprise. Yeah, I'm still thinking.
Well, listen, that is it sounds like it's a good thing for, I mean, I don't know about him, but it sounds like it's a good thing for you that the relationship ended.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, I'm looking forward for the Iranian future to get better just a little bit, you know? As a lot of people may know, Iranian people do not agree with their government. The government, by laws, is absolutely a dictatorship.
Yeah.
And people like me who can, they immigrate and they build another future. But for some other people like my parents, they're just stuck there with the dictatorship. And with the slightest movement or the opposition, they get killed. Like just recently, a journalist, just a few days ago, got killed because he moved to another country and started broadcasting some news of the corrupted government of Iran, and they prosecuted him.
Wow.
Just that. And the sanctions that United States applies on Iranian government, honestly, I don't feel like they in any way are affected by that. I
Right.
think most people who are affected by the sanctions are people, including my father, who has a rare disease and needs medication. And the sanction rule says that the medication would not fall into the sanction category, but it does, like in indirect ways.
I
And
think you're
people-
absolutely right. I think you're absolutely right. Listen, what is your specialty in medicine?
I'm doing my residency in general surgery, so I'll be a general surgeon when I graduate.
Really? So you would do like appendectomies, for example?
Yes, mostly
Wow.
abdominal surgery.
Yeah, when I had my appendectomy, they announced I got lucky because a great doctor is available, experienced top doctor, but then in comes a resident and says, the doctor will be here, but I'm just going to explain the procedure. Now, after the fact, a doctor who's a friend of mine said, once you were out with the anesthesia, it was probably the resident who did the whole surgery. And that made me feel less good. Do you think it's likely that once they put me to sleep, it's really the resident who got to do the appendectomy?
It is actually likely when you actually sign the consent.
Yeah.
It is in there. But, it's not a big deal because the attending professor, the attending surgeon will be in the room. And to be honest, it's like one of the most simple surgeries that we learn.
Right.
By the end of your second year, I'm a third year, but by the end of second year, you should be able to perform it independently.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, that makes me feel better.
Yeah, I bet you were in good hands.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate the call. Great to speak to you.
You too. Thank you for taking my call and keep up the good work. I'm a big fan. We need more independent media and we need more intelligent people.
Thank you.
Are well articulated like you.
All right. Dr. Nava, very, very strong caller. Let's keep it going and see what's on folks' minds. Going next to Harper from South Carolina.
Hi, David. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Harper.
That is stupendous.
Oh, dear God.
So I was just wondering what your thoughts were on, I saw a news article about the Wall Street. They're starting trading water futures. And I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about that. Like, apparently, according to the UN, water shortages could affect around like 5 billion people worldwide by 2050. So
that's fascinating. I've been talking about the future potential for wars over water for about a decade, I would say. But I am not aware of this water futures thing. That is a perfect topic for an upcoming bonus show. So Harper, although I wouldn't want to comment on something without knowing, that's one of my principles. I say, if I don't know about it, I don't want to comment on an uninformed way. If you or anyone listening can email me an article about water futures, that is a perfect bonus show story, which I would love to talk about upcoming.
Will do. I will gladly send you something.
All right.
I was also wondering, since that was a pretty short question.
Yeah, it was.
Are there any, like in the midterms elections coming up in 2 years? It's gonna be my first time voting. Are there any do you think that that there's a chance that we turn the House blue, Senate back blue, hopefully the Senate is already blue.
The House is blue. The House is blue.
The House is currently blue. Keep the House blue. Expand our lead because I know we lost several seats in the House. Do you see it as a good election? I know you had a story about this, but I was just wondering.
Yeah, I know. I think that the traditional default is you assume when the parties change, the next midterm, it's bad for the party that got the White House. I think the circumstances are different this time around, and I think it's too early to say, but it is possible that 2022 could be a good midterm for the Democratic Party.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Harper, there it is. Great to hear from Harper. I don't know why some people were not liking that call. That seemed like a totally reasonable call to me. I don't know why people were mad at it. Let's go next to, why don't we go to a lot of possible. Let's go to Daryl from New York. Daryl from New York, you are on the air. Daryl from New York, you're on the air, my friend. Daryl from New York, absolutely last opportunity to unmute yourself and talk to me. There you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, David?
Good. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about people's apprehension about taking a vaccine, specifically within the Black community.
Oh, hold on a second, Daryl. Are you the Black flight attendant who's called in before?
Yeah.
How are you? Great to hear from you.
Good to hear from you too. How's it going?
Good.
Yeah. So I just recently heard about I had no idea about the Tuskegee experiments, and I'm shocked. I'm shocked. It's like the more I know, the more upset I am a little bit.
Right. But Daryl, I mean, listen, let's talk about the vaccine hesitancy. But for most folks, I don't think the primary hesitancy is because of the history of Tuskegee experiment. I think it's mostly misunderstandings of science and political in nature.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's been on my mind for the past few days. Yeah, I guess that was the only thing that was on my mind.
I mean, listen, if people have a specific question, the only way to deal with this is to take the argument head on. Like if the argument is, this was rushed, it was developed too quickly, most vaccines take a couple years. Well, this is a different platform. The whole point of the mRNA platform is it doesn't take a couple of years. It's not that it was a normal vaccine that was rushed. It's a different platform. Okay, so you put that aside. Next one. I'm worried about the side effects that could come in the very long term that we wouldn't know about in advance. You could apply that to literally anything. If there's a vaccine that's been around 20 years, how do you know that something doesn't happen after 21 years? It's a sort of indefeasible argument. And so what we have to look at is, what do we know after 5 months, 6 months, people have taken it? And what do we know generally about long-term effects of vaccines? Anything really long-term is extremely rare. There was a vaccine, I think, that doubled risk of getting Guillain-Barré from 1 in 2 million to 1 in 1 million. So we really have to be taking each of these issues one by one. And I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's an uphill battle for sure. You're right that a lot of people may not want to get this vaccine.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I guess my only thing is, okay, so now we have Joe Biden in office with Kamala Harris. I guess now more than ever, I guess like minorities in general, I think it's important for minorities to actually pay attention and see what your politician do for you now more than ever. I don't know, I just wonder, what sort of things should I look for, just as a young person, the economy, or I don't know.
You're saying what issues should you pay attention to? I mean, you need to figure out what's important to you. I can't tell you that.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it.
So are you flying around a lot now? What routes are you on?
A lot of domestic. The flights are pretty full. I mean, You would almost think there's no pandemic.
Right. But everybody's wearing masks.
Everyone is wearing masks, and I would say that it's safe because everybody is compliant.
Yeah.
And apparently we have special filters on the plane, so even if you are sitting next to someone, quite frankly, it's okay to as long as you wearing your mask, everyone is compliant.
Are you seeing, I've heard, Daryl, that there are people, because the rule is you can move your mask down while you're eating, that people will just slowly eat the entire flight.
I pay attention to that. And I definitely don't have a problem. My number one priority is safety. And so if I see that someone's drinking or they're talking a lot, I would just, in a friendly way, just remind them, oh, could you just put your mask on for me if you're not eating or drinking?
Beautiful.
And, yeah, everybody's good about it. And we kind of hammer it in before you get on the plane. If you give us any issues about this, you'll be banned. Period.
Right.
So I feel good about flying. But I just hope everybody's doing their part to stay safe.
All right, Daryl, great to hear from you. I appreciate the call.
Thanks, David.
All
Have
right.
a good night.
Daryl from New York City. Very, very strong caller. Let's go next to Devin from Atlanta. Devin from Atlanta, you're on the air.
David, what is going on, my man?
How are you? You sound like you're on a perfect microphone.
Oh, well, I'm actually on speakerphone on my cell phone, so that's good to know.
That can't
First-time
possibly be
callers.
true. This is the best speakerphone call I've ever heard.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, big fan, by the way. I'm happy for all your success, man.
Thank you.
I really am. So it's a two questions for you. One, I don't know if you've touched on this. I get a lot of your stuff from YouTube, so I'm not sure if you have. But do you think that anti-vax Trump supporters, which one do you think like trumps the other one? Do you think being a Trump supporter and how positively he's speaking about the vaccine is going to trump their anti-vaxxer mindset?
Now, let me ask you, I want to make sure when you say anti-vax, they were anti-vax prior to all of this pandemic, right? Like the anti-vax predates, or you're saying they became anti-vax during the pandemic?
No, like beforehand, like those, Facebook groups and all that, and all those people. You know what I mean?
I think that if they were if their anti-vaccine was pre-existing, it is a condition in a sense. If they had the pre-existing condition of anti-vax, I think that will trump the Trump recommendation to get the vaccine, particularly because they have an out, Devin, which is what? Which is that at the time at which they would be eligible for the vaccine, most of them, right? Because it's going to be after Trump's gone. Trump will no longer be president at that point. So they can throw out the fact that when Trump was in, he said, go and get it. And the anti-vax will trump, I believe.
Okay, cool. And that's what I was wondering. Do you think like Trump fans will fade with the times, or just wait until another 4 years until maybe Don Jr. runs or something terrible? I don't even want.
This is the key question. And I don't know the answer, because if Trump kind of fades away on January 20th, I think a lot of these Trumpers that only got involved in politics to follow Trump are going to get out of politics. They're not really they were just interested in Trump. Some of them will remain engaged. If Trump doesn't go away for the next 4 years and runs a campaign, I think they will remain active.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. And then the last one, a fun one for you. Okay. Not really fun, but I'm going to call it that. You have a gun to your head. You got to vote for one of them. Eric, Don Jr., or Ivanka. Who you picking?
I'm probably going Ivanka.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Don Jr. seems out of his mind in a way that scares me, and Eric seems very dumb. And so Ivanka, I actually think that Ivanka, it's very clear to me I'm obviously voting for Ivanka. I wouldn't even have to think about it.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I agree, honestly. She seems more likable than the other two.
Hey, Devin, and also, you're really calling me on speakerphone because it sounds like you're in a sound booth.
Hey, I swear on my life, I'm literally just hanging out at my place with you on speakerphone.
Okay. Listen, I don't want anybody getting any ideas because Devin's speakerphone sounds perfect. Do not start calling with speakerphone thinking this is what you're going to sound like. This is this is a white unicorn.
All right. I plan on calling more, so I'll keep it up with the speakerphone. Have it going, man.
All right. Very good. Devin. Oh, I should have asked what kind of a phone it was. That would have been the key question. That's something. Okay, let's take a couple of others, but I do then have to go and make my okra soup today. How about there's a few interesting callers here, but I don't really know where to go next. Why don't we go to Mel from Florida? Mel from Florida.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, David. So this might be something for another day.
Oh, okay.
Honestly. But I've been doing a lot of reading, watching the electoral votes come in and stuff. And I'm seeing that there's new information that might be like a conspiracy theory, honestly, from the left this time.
Oh, okay. What's that?
Basically, it's about the voting machines that were used in Kentucky and how interesting the vote counts are for Mitch McConnell as opposed to Amy McGrath. Now, I don't think that it's any surprise that he actually won, but there's been some kerfluffle and some things being tossed out there, and I'd wondered if you'd heard anything about that.
No, I'm not familiar. I'll have to look into this one, Mel, to be able to properly comment.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought. I was just putting it out there because it's very interesting. I mean, I think that most of us wish that Mitch McConnell had actually lost.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't want to fall into the trap of like, oh, we're going to believe conspiracy theories now like everyone else.
Yeah, I'm glad to examine it. This is the first I've heard of it, honestly.
I'll send a link or something to it so you can see
Yeah.
some of the stuff that I saw.
And Mel, remind me, what part of Florida are you in?
Central Florida, Orlando.
Oh, okay. Have you called in before?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that I had a friend who went to school in Winter Park, and you were familiar with the area.
Oh yeah, definitely. I used to work up there.
Good. Well, it sounds like our first phone call was as perfect as this one.
Exactly. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, Mel. Great to hear from you. Okay, let's go to Davo from rural Texas.
Hello. Can you
Hello.
hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right, cool. First time caller, long time listener. I really just wanted to ask, have you had any chance to look into the current hack with Cozy Bear and all that other good stuff?
Sorry, a pact with Cozy Bear?
A hack with Cozy Bear. This morning, YouTube was actually down, along with a lot of other Viacom and other types of services. They essentially got confirmed hacked by FireEye and a lot of other companies, basically, that it was a hack from a Russian-backed hacker group known as APT24.
I didn't hear about this.
Really? Okay. Well, I guess that my question probably might not work.
Okay.
It was essentially just kind of thinking, well, just in general with the cyber attacks essentially being on the rise and everything else like that, and with Trump kind of dismantling cybersecurity essentially.
Yeah.
Do you think that with the incoming Biden administration, do you think that we're going to get all those protections back? Do you think the damage has already been done?
I think both. I think Biden will do his best to restore, but I think there has been damage done that will not be reversible.
Right. Yeah, of course. And I guess, well, the rest of the questions kind of pertain specifically.
Well, listen, I because I don't know about it, I can't answer it. But let me ask you a question.
Right.
When you say rural Texas, how rural do you mean? Because I know that rural Texas is something very different than rural Massachusetts, for example.
Right. Yeah. I live in a town of about, I want to say maybe 100,000 max.
Okay, but hold on. That's a city, right? I mean, that's not rural.
Right. That's Sherman. That's the closest main city to us. I live in a small town outside of there.
Oh, okay.
That has probably roughly like 10,000 people.
And when you say rural, like you're not 10 minutes from a grocery store or anything, a 10-minute drive. You're in a small town.
We kind of went through the whole Walmart phase, where they kind of came in, and now it's kind of owned out by a separate company and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially our downtown is dead because of that.
I see.
Before then, though, the closest Walmart was about a 30 to 45-minute drive away, yeah.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And listen, do you have a really strong position on Texas barbecue?
Yes, I do, actually.
What's your sense? What's your position on brisket?
Brisket, define what are you asking?
In other words, are you on the side, you know, you've got like your pork people who are like all about pork, and then you've got people who just say brisket is really the tried and true, and that's the test of barbecue.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Brisket, just because of how it's made and everything else like that. I mean, that's the absolute staple. Like, if your brisket sucks, then yeah, you just need to not even attempt to do it.
I think you're making a lot of sense. That's a perfect answer. And now, Texas barbecue. What makes it Texas barbecue?
Seasons. Basically, we tend to get really drunk and forget that it's on the smoker for a few hours.
Okay.
So it tends to cook for a little bit longer. That actually seems to benefit the meat versus actually, doing any kind of harm to it.
Right.
Essentially, we just kind of, we care for our meat a little bit more.
Well, listen, I am going to announce here that I am going to be doing my my Hanukkah brisket. I'm going to be doing it a little late this year, probably after Hanukkah because it's been crazy. But we are looking at probably like an 8-hour cook, if you can imagine that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's minimum. That's
minimum. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. Davo, very much appreciate the call.
Absolutely. Thank you for taking me, sir.
All right, there it is. And it will be with red wine. I do put in a cup of red wine into my brisket. All right, guys, I appreciate everybody I was able to speak to. I've got to run, but we will absolutely be taking calls again soon. And I'm so glad that you joined me today. And that is something that we all have to just think about very, very strongly. We'll talk to everybody very soon.